Hi everyone, welcome to day 7. Yesterday obviously we covered research and BRR deals. Today's going to be very similar, just looking slight different strategy with the lease options. But the research it's very similar. We're going to use, obviously keep building on our spreadsheet that we started using yesterday. And we've got the various tabs along the bottom here. So I just want you to keep building. And as I said yesterday, it is hard work, but the more effort you put in here, especially getting to know your areas, knowing prices, etc., then the more it's going to pay off. So again, lease options, what we're going to do is we jump on our sort of right move. Again, it's a good site for me. I mentioned yesterday, it's probably is my favorite for searching. Again, we'll just look at some postcodes within the areas here. Now, what we want to do with lease options, you'll notice here, we're on the sort of BRR view, and we kind of work out a below market value price. On lease options, we're looking at the purchase price difference between when it was bought and what it's advertised for. And then what you'll see here is a common theme of typically properties bought around 2004 to 2007, seem to sit in sort of negative equity situations. So what we want to do is kind of, just go scrolling and, based on your, I'll go lowest price first, based on your criteria here, your research areas, what you found, what you're kind of going to go looking for. Lease options can work for any type of property, any value property, but ultimately a lease option, you are going to take the option to purchase that property. So there's no point looking for, £1 million lease option deal if you really have no intention of taking it on. If you kind of put together the 200, 300, 400 grand at the end of it to buy it. Now, some people might argue that, you would take it on and then give it back. But my personal opinion is, you should only really get into lease options if you do fully intend to buy them. Yes, something might go wrong further down the line, and that might prevent you from buying it. But, as long as you have the intention at the outset to buy it, I think that's the honourable thing to do, and you should be doing it that way. So for this, again, we're not looking too heavily into... We're not looking too heavily into BRRs, adding market value, that sort of thing. What we are looking for is motivated sellers. And, typically what you can do is you can jump between the for sale or for rent. They tend to be motivated sellers. So, we've got search on the buy button here. You could then, what you could do is search on the rental side of things, the exact same postcode. And, what you can then do is see if the pictures jump out, see if you spot any of the same sort of looking pictures and properties. Someone that's got it for sale and for rent is definitely a motivated seller and maybe open to a lease option. So that's one way of kind of figuring out whether, it's worth pursuing or not. But what I'm going to show you is just if we have how to find the data. So I'll just click into this one as an example. And what we're looking for here is the market info. So here we go, perfect. So in 2007, it was sold for 66,000 and it's up for 45,000. So, as you can see there, they're in negative equity. Now, if they've got a mortgage on that, then, they're going to be more than likely around this sort of value that they need to clear. So, 75% of 66 grand is 49,500, so their mortgage is there or thereabouts. So these are in a sticky situation. So what the next thing that I would do is we want to find the actual address, because what you're going to do with lease options is you're going to actually send them a letter. Obviously with buy, refurbish, refinance, you can just get in touch with an estate agent, they'll book a viewing and then they'll kind of facilitate the negotiation. You can try and get direct if you want, but I don't see the point. I think, at the end of the day, you're not paying the fees. The other side, the vendor side, is paying the fees on the purchase or on the sale. So, but for lease options, we're going to send a letter to the door. So we've got kind of the address here, but we need to find out what the actual door number is. So what we do is we go up to the house prices search again, and we go to sold house prices, a bit like we sort of looked at yesterday for the comparables. We're going to do very similar here. We've actually got the postcode of this one, which is great. So let's bang it in here. And then what this does is it lists in date order when these properties were sold. So what we want to do is any property that has a market info, you can see here it's got these two stamps, which is 2005 for 43,000 and 2007 for 66,000. So what we're looking for is that exact date match. So if we scroll down to 2007's entries, then next page. 2007, 2004, there we go. 2007, 2005, 2007, 2005, 6643, 6643. That's your address there. 14 Kingsmere Gardens, Newcastle upon Tyne. Perfect. So what we then do is come here. And again, this is building your data and building your, building your lists that you're then going to target. And you can do it through various ways. E6. Obviously, you can handwrite your own letters, or I use a system called Stamp. It's you can design postcards. I find them working quite effective at the minute. And and at the end of the day, all we want to do is build a list and get the data through. Newcastle upon Tyne. So why you're building your lists like this, obviously, is because when you do maybe upload it into a direct publishing platform like Stamp, then you just match up the columns and it automatically puts the address on the envelope, and then it posts it out for you, so you don't have to be going buying stamps and going anywhere. Now, a couple of more things we want to get is the data around the property. So with our property extension, we want to know when it was first listed. So it was first listed on the 30th of the 7th, 2019. Again, we're just trying to build a bit of history around this. It's advertised for 45,000 and they bought it for 66, it was 66,000. And they bought it in 2007. And again, you just drop your website links in here, make sure that we're collecting all the data. And then obviously if you've got a view and book, you bang it in there. So you can see there, £21,000 upside down. So they're in a bit of a sticky situation. Now, the fact that they're that far upside down suggests to me that they've probably got a solution to get out of the property. But if you can go along and offer them a potential delayed purchase of 10 years, maybe allow the market to recover somewhere back up towards that 66,000 mark. But they obviously don't want the property anymore because it is up for sale. But you'd assume that when they do sell it, they're not actually going to pull any money out of it. So, it's going to be no loss to them whether they just have someone else look after it. So obviously, you don't know everyone's circumstances, and we're just making assumptions here. But in my experience, this works well, and if they are in negative equity, then they are, and they have got the house up for sale. They are quite happy to just move away from it. Here's another one here. So you can see here, this one was sold in 2016 for 26,250. It's up for 50 grand. Got no more pictures on it. So they've obviously, if I was a betting man, they've bought that as a buy, refurbish, refinance project probably. Initially maybe spent a bit of money on it, or maybe they just bought it for their own home and spent a bit of money on it. It's worth 50, they're advertised for 50 grand. I think we know in this sort of area that is probably the going rate for a 2-bedroom flat. So that probably won't work as a lease option. So we move on to the next one. And we go to market info. Now you'll see here there is no market info, so that kind of stops us in our tracks on this one a little bit. You could jump over to other websites, Zoopla, etc., and see if there's any more market info on that property. But on this particular one, there's not. So we kind of then run the research. So you're scrolling through now. When you get established and when you get start finding things that work for you and you're getting these patterns in place. I have virtual assistants who work for me, and they basically spend all day building these lists for us. So they are living on Rightmove, doing exactly this, going through every single property, market info. So we might define certain postcodes and we'd ask them to do the research. They'll do exactly this. They'll go in and then they start building these lists for us. And then each week we send letters or postcards out to the lists, and we get responses to it. So you got to you just got to think outside the box. You know, at the end of the day, you don't want to be sat here doing this. As you can see, you know, we've had 1 out of 4 in terms of a hit rate there. That might potentially work as a lease option. So, you know, so it's a tedious task, and you don't want to be wasting time doing this. You want to be out there building relationships and, you know, bringing the money in. You don't want to be doing data list building. So, you know, start thinking about how you can leverage time, because as you get bigger and bigger, you do have less and less time. So you want to make sure that you can leverage yourself. Now, this one, 65,000, and it's up for 65,000. Sorry, it's up for 65,000. Again, we've got no data on that one, so we just continue. So as you can see, the hard yards need to be put in here. You just got to go through the motions. What you do find though is by doing these exercises, sometimes you'll get cross strategies. You know, so I'm already seeing, you know, this could potentially be a potential buy, refurbish, refinance. We've got a very tired old looking bathroom there, and we've got a very tired looking kitchen. We've got some market data there. 2004, 58,000. Guide price is 70,000. Greenford Road. You know, so that's already that screams BRR to me. I mean, we can just a bit of a refresher from yesterday, but how we get the comparables. But we go and just dig a bit deeper into the street. There we are. And that was a 3-bed terrace. So if you remember rightly, we select the house. Terrace, 53 grand. 3-bed terrace, 58 grand. So I think they're asking a bit much for that house, but as I said yesterday, it's worthwhile putting offers in. However, they are asking, they bought the house for 58 grand. So this for me is probably not a bad one to, that's this here, 82 Greenford Road. I would put this on our lease options list, you know, although they're wanting silly money for it, you know, eventually the market makes these people realize that they're not going to get that, and they've got 2 choices. They either reduce their price down to what it should be, or they take it off the market. So, you know, no one's going to overpay for a property. It just doesn't happen. You know, there's too many sites where you can get comparables. You can find out, you know, what prices houses go for. You can find out what true market values are. Information's more freely available these days. So no one's going to go and pay, you know, this is, to me, looks 10 grand over the asking price before it's even been refurbed, and it definitely needs an upgrade. So, you know, this is probably 20, 30 grand over what the market value of this property should be. You know, so again, it could be a good lease option. Now, in there, you'll see it assumes it's got £12,000 worth of equity, but really, and I wouldn't necessarily tweak this data, but as I'm going through it, I've made a decision to put the data on the sheet because we want to send them a letter to them. But, you know, really, I think this property done up is worth that, you know, and in its current state, it's probably worth, you know, if we're being generous, 50 grand, which starts eating your negative equity. So, and that is probably what offer they will end up having to accept if they want to sell that property. So, and, you know, that's probably why it's been on the market since October last year, because it's grossly overpriced. So, you know, that's worth a letter with a different strategy. You know, at the end of the day, they might have just been getting offers of 50s and 45,000s that they didn't want. And, you know, and then you come along with your lease option of, you know, I'll give you £70,000, but it will be in 7 years' time or 10 years' time. In the meantime, we'll take over your mortgage payments, and then we'll run it as though it's our property. We handle our maintenance, etc., etc. So, you know, as we sort of discussed last week about the strategy of lease options, and they're the type of people that might go, okay, fair enough. Well, we haven't had any offers around the 70 grand since we put it on the market. We haven't had anything anywhere close. So, you know, 70 grand, 10 years, as long as they don't have money tied up, as long as they don't need the money to move on to something else, you know. But again, this is all just about opening conversations. And if you drop a letter through their door, dear homeowner, I've seen your house advertised on Rightmove. I'd like to buy it for £70,000. Do you think that they're going to call you or send you an email or whatever your contact details that you've left on the flyer is? You know, you've got a very high chance that they're at least going to open the conversation with you, and then it's up to you to kind of use that and take that through. So that's how we do our lease options research. We build our lists, and then from those lists, we then, market to them. We need to get the messages through the doors. You can go knocking on doors, you can go and posting letters through, and it's up to you. But there's plenty of direct mail and platforms to get direct to the doors without even needing to leave your office. You can just send a couple of clicks on a button and it posts it all. There's no licking of stamps or anything like that. And for me, much more efficient way of doing things. And so lease options are a really good strategy. And don't get me wrong, direct mails, you probably only get 1 or 2% response at best, but the ones that do respond are always quality leads, and they do genuinely lead to something, whether it be now or in the future. Again, obviously we're tracking our links here, so we can always come back and see if they sell. But the two there that we've put on, as you see, we just randomly went through stuff there. And, I said at the beginning, most of the properties you'll find will be between 2004 and 2007 in terms of when they were purchased, pre sort of the last financial crash. And, when 100%, 125% mortgages were getting, kicked out. So highly leveraged properties. And, there's just two examples there that we've picked out in the 2004 and 2007. So when you are doing a bit of research, and again, this comes through knowledge, of just looking at data time and time again and spotting patterns, but when you are scrolling through and you just happen to click on a property, if you go down to market info, 2004, there's another one, you can just see if they fit. So that's up for 70, bought it for 73. These are perfect lease options. And I might start mailing these myself after this, but these are great lease option examples. And just shows you that although I think we had 1 out of 4 in the first 4 scrolls, but then we've just clicked on 2 straight away. So we're now sort of 3 from 6. So you do get rewards from the hard work. It's just you just got to find the data, and then you got to open the conversations. And again, there's plenty of work that can be done to that house, or as little work as you want to do, really. But so that's how we find lease options. Fairly quick today, but what I want you to do, I'd rather you spend time researching than obviously listen to me on a video. I've pretty much given you the strategy there of how you find them. So get yourselves over to Rightmove, search your postcodes that you want to start picking properties up in, and start building your lists. And then from your lists, you'll start marketing them next week. We'll take some actions, and then obviously the phones will start ringing, which is part of the start of the journey. You cannot buy property from behind a laptop. I do keep saying that, but we have to spend time behind the laptop to get that momentum going. So hope that helps. Any questions, as always, jump into the Facebook group, Next Level Property Investing, and ask away. And I'm sure you'll get the support that you need. And I will see you tomorrow for a bit more research. Take care.